I stumbled across a phrase the other day. Your fear of looking stupid is holding you back. I couldn't think what an amazing summary of my last 10 years. Yes, I want to talk about how if my fear got the best of me, I would not have seen the level of success that I have in the last 10 years. I spoke of some of the things that I've done that have put me outside of my comfort zone. That's right. I've taken on challenges. I've done things that many people are too scared to do. Many people don't know where to start, and certainly many people are just reluctant to even get rolling. And realistically, I took it, I grabbed a bull by the horns, and I just went with it. Welcome back to the hustle and welcome back to the grind. Hope everybody's having an absolute magnificent day. And today, again, sun shining. It's amazing, glorious day. I can't help but just, such a beautiful day out here today. After such a long spell, we've had about 3 or 4 weeks of minus 20, minus 30 degrees Celsius. We're finally in a stretch of some nice weather. And I just can't help but get out and talk about some of my greatest aspirations. And a lot of you know, of course, about 11 and a half months, almost 12 months ago, I got let go from my company. Now, for many people, that's one of your biggest fears in life. Of course, death, taxes is not a good one, but certainly losing your career, especially one that you've been around for quite a while, and especially one in which if you're not ready to go, if you're not ready to retire, or certainly not ready to move on, it is one of people's biggest fears, losing their job. And many people are willing to do just about anything to hold on to it. They're willing to jeopardize their integrity, compromise their own who they are, just for the sake of appearing to be something that the company expects them to be, but they're willing to do it all just because of the fear of losing their job. Well, fortunately for me, I lost that fear long ago, and there's a reason for it. See, it goes back about 10 years ago. I actually finally got the anniversary reminder on my first YouTube channel, which was Exotic Car Play Place. And I started that because it was a labor of love. It was a project created because of a passion. I loved cars, exotic cars, luxury cars. And then I even involved into, talking about cars, everyday cars, because it's important, whether you drive a good car, fun car, whatever, every car brings a level of value, whether it's reliable transportation to work or whether it's for fun racing on the track. All vehicles, if we buy them, provide a level of value. And I was trying to sort out that value and bring it to the screen. Well, I did that. But the beauty is, 10 years ago, almost immediately to the day, about 10 years ago, actually I'd scale this back a few days to be precise, I was sent a reminder that congratulations, 10 years doing YouTube. Now, I'm not here to advocate for YouTube, but I will tell you this, and I promise you this. This is one of my best moves I've ever done in my life. And why is that? Well, simply because a lot of people are fearful of doing things that are push them outside of their safety zone. I look at back some of my early videos, and I looked stupid. I mean, if you go look at that channel, you'll probably see, wow, that's embarrassing. Wow, that's bad acting. Wow, that's some bad videography and some horrible editing. Absolutely, check. I agree with all of those points. In the beginning, when you start in that game, most people just aren't very good at it. And I certainly wasn't any better than anybody else. But I did it, and I started doing it because I loved showcasing cars. I wanted to, provide some level of value because I was such a car person, and I wanted to do something that could provide value to others and share of either my knowledge, some of my passions, experiences, and I wanted to share it with other viewers. Well, I found the outlet, the conduit, if you will. But like a lot of people I've spoke to, and even my channel manager, who at the time got me going into it because he had already started it, he had said, look, Mark, it's amazing to find how few people are willing to get going in this. But it's much, much even fewer to find people that are willing to stick it out. And we always used to laugh and have a great couple of conversations about it. And there's a couple of words that we utilized and we threw and we kind of said, yeah, doing this game is not for everybody. You've got to have thick skin. You've got trolls. You've got people that don't always have your best interests at heart. And there's a word that we used, or a pair of words. Testicular fortitude. That's right. Kuyans, right? That's the words we used in describing what you kind of need to have to get into this game. Because doing this game of the tube, I found myself so much rewarded by so many amazing viewers, people with great attaboys, people with thanks, and people with great suggestions and feedback. It has been nothing but absolutely amazing. But as you can imagine, in the 99% of the amazing comments, there's always that percentage or so of trolls and people that don't necessarily have the best things to say. Now, a lot of those people are armchair warriors, or they're sitting in their mom's basement, but nonetheless, you don't know that. And I've had threats, I've had people talk smack, and I've had a lot of things that just weren't necessarily all that great. Let's just put it that way. And it's that fear that a lot of people have, putting themselves out there. And I understand, because this world is full of psychotic people. It's nuts. There's all kinds of chaos, crap, corruption, and there's a lot of nonsense out there. But I try to cut through all that because I do want to send a message. And my message has always been one in talking about things that matter to me in my space. And in this case, it's talking about cars. Well, time goes on and it turns from a labor of love into something that's more like a way to generate some revenue. Now, it didn't really start out that way. I mean, I had researched it like everybody. How can you make money on the internet? At the time I was in the middle of my career and we were just making, doing the things that we do, trying to climb the ladder, trying to do the day-to-day chores, sitting in on performance conversations, getting the critiques by your boss, your supervisor telling you how you're not doing this adequately, how you need to do more of that, how you need to coach your team, how you need to do... There's a million suggestions that these people have, and none of them really end up mattering anyway, because at the end of the day, as you all know, about a year ago, I was let go. So you try to follow all of their instructions and all of their directions, and where does it lead you? No man's land. So here we are. Fast forward 10 years, fast forward, say 8, 9 years, I started to read the writing on the wall. I had some conversations that weren't easy. We had the C word, back in 2020. Everybody knows that bad time of the, in history. There was lockdowns. There was changing of the guard. There was a lot of uncertainty in the industry. And it became a very volatile space. And, my boss and many other people around were just moving. Things were moving. Things felt very agitated. Things felt very unstable. And everybody no longer had the security, if you will, of the long-term job employment experience. We all get into these corporate games. We hope that we ride it out until, our 35 years is up, take the big pension, handshake, and away you go. Have the barbecue and they give you the cheap hat and the Timex watch and adios. But for me, that didn't work out that way. You know what? They had other plans. They clearly didn't see the value that I was providing, or lack thereof, whatever that was. And as a result, they sent me packing. Now, I look at it as a total benefit and a win, but I also look at what an amazing shift and what an amazing turn of events, in the sense that, see, this whole time, on weekends, I was pounding out videos, making video content for people to watch, and also even just a library and catalog for myself. Looking back, when I'm 85, I can look back on some of the stuff I did. That's a great way to look back and reflect on some of your things that you've gained and done in this world. And I like to believe I brought value, and I know I brought a lot of value to a lot of people that have expressed that. And lots of thanks out there, and it's become absolutely rewarding and amazing. But like a lot of people find out, putting yourself out there is a risk, but it also, a lot of people find themselves standing in front of a camera and they feel that they look stupid, or they feel like somebody else is going to make them think they're looking stupid. In reality, in most cases, 98% of the time, and I'll throw a number out there, I don't know if this is 98, it could be 95, most of the time, other people don't think you look stupid at all. That's your own perception, because you don't see yourself in your face all the time. You see others and the world around you. See, you look at the world around you like that, and it's the other things that you see, but you don't necessarily see yourself, other than that moment where you maybe grab a mirror and look in in the morning at yourself, you generally don't see yourself talking in the mirror. You don't necessarily see that movement and those gestures in real time in the mirror. So when you see it on screen for the first time, you feel it looks ridiculous and you're laughing at yourself. And I had many of those moments. But as I think back and I reflect, I can't think of a more rewarding thing that I've ever done in my working career than start up that channel. Because thanks to my buddy, thanks to the YouTube channel manager and partner in crime, sort of coached me to get started, and then we sort of coached each other back and forth and kind of worked through the ins and outs and the ups and downs, and we talked every day about how to do this and why isn't that working, and we just worked through it. And then by the time the corporation decided they no longer wanted me around, guess what? There was no more panic, because I was sitting in a position where I didn't worry anymore. And that fear of looking stupid no longer mattered, because I had inertia in the channel. I felt like I found another way to generate some revenue. And now for a lot of you out there that have wondered, how have you done this? How are you able to retire so early? It's because I do a hobby that's more like fun. Is it work? Sure, kind of, but it's more of a hobby that happens to generate. And I love it. I love every single day of this. Is it work? Is it hustle? Is it hard? All of the above. Some days, yeah. You've got to be creative. You've got to think. You've got to constantly improve. And it's frustrating. There's some highs and there's some lows. And any YouTuber will admit that the first 10 videos are trash. The first 50 videos are probably garbage. And maybe even the first 100 videos are pretty trashy too. And rarely are you really making any headway until you start getting into the 200-300 videos, and then you're starting to see some speed build on the channel. But I look back and I think, if I thought I was looking stupid and I let that alone as a single motivator stop me, I would have been like everybody else, getting so stressed out about losing my job. And rightfully so. It's a hard time right now. I talked to somebody here on the weekend, an absolute great person, great friend, who's also in the market looking for a job. He was let go, unfortunately, very suddenly, and he was thrust into the idea of having to find another job. The unfortunate part with him is he's now searching and, of course, looking for a job. It's not easy these days. Him and I were chatting about, how do you get back in the saddle? Well, things have changed. It's no longer just throwing resumes out or bombing resumes. Sometimes doing little video edits and clips of you, just short videos. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is my skills. I'm amazing at this. And just basically a way to showcase. But the environment is different. The workspace is quite different today than it was 10, 15 years ago. So to get back in the saddle would be a tricky one. And certainly one, if I can avoid, I certainly will. And so I just happen to feel like I'm living the dream. I'm living in a space now where I'm able to generate revenue, but more importantly, just provide value to viewers, because I could just hoard all this information. I could just not research. I could just do all these things. But there's two major drivers. And it started out with the passion. And the passion for information, the passion about cars, and certainly the passion to share that knowledge. Because that's where it did start. And I didn't even get started getting paid until I was probably 3 years into the game. And even then, it was barely enough to buy a cup of coffee a month. So I was not doing it for the revenue. But I realized a few years in that there were options and opportunities. And again, if I looked stupid, or I thought I looked stupid doing that, I never would have started, and I'd be in panic mode when I got canned. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, everybody. And please, again, as always, please do subscribe to the channel. I got lots to talk about in a fun way, and a way that comes more from the heart and the thought. It's not about all just numbers and retirement. It actually matters how people feel and life. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.